ก็ได้นั่งนะไม่ไม่ที่ไม่กินเหมือนแบบการเขียนนะเหมือนแบบfollow Jesus ที่แบบนั่งคือหมออยากให้คุณตลอดเวลาอยากให้แบบกระดูกมันติดสวยเหมือนเดิมถ้าเกิดขมิ้นกระดูกมันจะไม่ติดไม่สวยมันจะเบี้ยวนี่เขาจะนั่งแบบนี่เขาจะนั่ง
On behalf of the Bangkok Women Writers Group and Florentino from the Mountain Clock, we would like to welcome everyone, writers, audience, staff, anybody who came. Thank you so much for coming. Would you like to say something about our group?
Okay, so our group today, we're celebrating 20 years. This means it has been a very long journey. It started with two wonderful women, and it carried on, and today Morgan and I at present, we are the co-leaders. We would like to share something with you. We will read the journey of how it started and why today we are celebrating the Bangkok Women Writers and why is it so important for the communities. Okay? So, Morgan, you start.
Okay. I'm going to read the preface to our anthology by Mrs. Chloe Trindle, who actually is the reason that we're all here, because if she hadn't started the group, none of this would have happened. Okay, so she writes, The passing of time. In the year 2000, Bangkok was a very different place to what it is today. One of the biggest differences, there were no mobile phones and the internet was in its infancy. The only way to contact people was with a landline, and not everyone had a direct line. The phone in my apartment building went through an automated switchboard. In the middle of the year 2000, I returned from Tokyo to live with my Thai husband in a small apartment in Bangkok. I'd had a busy life in Tokyo, but Bangkok was different. Suddenly, I found myself socially isolated. I'd always wanted to be a writer, and I longed to connect with other like-minded creative women who felt the same way. I searched for any groups involving creative writing in Bangkok, but there were none. So I decided to start my own writing group. I put up a notice on the notice board at the Villa supermarket in Sukhumvit, and an ad in the Bangkok Post. The response at first was very slow. The first woman I arranged to meet at a cafe in the Emporium didn't turn up. The second one I met was very suspicious of my motives for starting a group. But the third woman I met was very nice and super enthusiastic. After that meeting, the phone started ringing. In September 2000, we had our first meeting of the Bangkok Women's Writers Group. It was held at the private home of one of the members in Sukhumvit. There were 8 women at our first meeting, and no one had any idea that the group would still be going strong and celebrating its 20th birthday in 2020. Daphne's going to read how it went on.
So I'm going to be reading about What Happened Next by Cheryl Lind. When responding to Chloe's advert, I had no idea at the first meeting it would lead to such a fulfilling pastime. It was the Bangkok Women Writers Group that started my and many other women's writing journey. The Bangkok Women Writers soon became a special part of Bangkok's life and something we look forward to each month. the camaraderie, encouragement, and laughter of those early meetings bound an eclectic group of creative women through a common interest of writing. Writing a short story or poem each month, prompted by 2 words from a lucky dip, challenged our imagination and produced fascinating results. We learned to critique each other's work positively and constructively. New members, occasionally questioned by a women writers group, met in a room in the Old Dutch at the corner of notorious Soy Cowboy. It was the need to find an easy to travel to, cheap in the case, free room, with space to hold meetings when there were a very few coffee shops around. We were so pleased to find a free room, we didn't appreciate the irony of the setting. Over the years, members and venues have changed, but it has always been a privilege being in the company of such encouraging, inspirational women. Thank you, Chloe, for initiating the group, and to the women who took on leadership or participated as members to keep it going for so long. The Bangkok Women Writers Group will continue being a hub for expressive women writers and to thrive and succeed. I look forward for the next 20 years. Congratulations, everyone, and the show begins.
Okay, as an opener of our show, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce to you the great Coco Rosier, who pretends not to be, not to know who she is, but yeah, we know. She's a very, very gifted jazz and soul singer who hails from the US and has performed basically, I think, from everywhere between the US and Japan, right?
I haven't been there yet, but close.
Right. And if I'm not mistaken, you're currently in residence at the Oriental Hotel.
No, I finished that.
You finished that, so
I go
when
back
are you
in
now?
June. I go back in June.
Okay, so if you want to catch her again at the Oriental, June, remember June. Okay. Now, Coco is also a very, very talented poet, and last Saturday she performed one of her poems at our first launch for the very first time, which I couldn't believe, but I mean, she was amazing. I think everybody who saw her there can attribute that, can agree with that. Now today, I don't know whether you're going to do a poem or whether you're going to sing, so I'm just leaving you to it and enjoy Miss Coco.
Thank you so very much. What a pleasure. It's sort of the little girl's dream to grow up for mine and travel, and then finally to meet other women who have taken life by the balls. And it gives me courage. When I met Bhavna, it was at her book launch for gratitude, her gratitude book. And a friend, Soma, asked me to sing for her. And she said, hey, I heard you wrote a song, so I did. And many years later, my life has been so wonderful because I met Bhavna, because I know Soma, and hopefully now I'll get to know some of you guys a little bit more. Because there is the stage persona, there's a whole nother side to me, the diva, a lot of hustling and grinding as a singer. But was it last summer? I'm skipping a whole year. 2000, no, I went to Pahin during the first COVID, and I started writing again. There was nothing else to do. There was nothing. There was no gigs to chase, no musicians, no songs, and thank God. This one came to me, and please allow me to share this one with you. It is called, let me get it first, because why say it and then I'm not there. Dark Liquor Man. It's one of the poems that will go in my book of poetry that I cannot wait to get published. Okay. And this is because my life is always on stage. If you were starting stalking me, you would find me because I'm always singing somewhere and it's got to be broadcasted. So 25 years of seeing fine guys come in, dark liquor man. He walked in the room and sat down at the end of the bar, back straight, chest out, like an executive superstar. His shoes were shining, his feet long as hell. Made me wonder what kind of oil he was pumping from his well. When he ordered his drink, it came back neat. No umbrella, no other colors, and no added seats. I know he listens to Miles from the way he slowly sips. I'm sure he's down with Coltrane from the swelling of his lips. I am belting out classics he's probably heard before. I'm singing strangely while thinking of names he might have since he walked through the door. No ring on his finger, not even an outline of a tan on his finger, you know. He's giving me all the right signals a jazz diva can understand. Every now and then he looks up at me displaying them pearls. The band is playing right, they swinging, so why am I forgetting the words? I lost my taste for vodka. For me, gin is a sin. Pour me some dark liquor, and I'm all in. Mr. Dark Liquor Man, what brings you here? Did you come to relax, or just change your atmosphere? Are you deep into jazz? Did you grow up with hip-hop? Will you have another? Or shall we ask the bartender to stop? You piqued my curiosity. You changed my flow. You see, normally by now, this diva is out the door. The excitement lingers as I gather all the clues. Mr. Dark Liquor Man, how may I serve you? It won't get me married or anything, but one day maybe some tall, dark, handsome stranger, thank you, is gonna walk into one of my jazz joints, and I'll be back there singing, and then I'll mess up the words, and I'll know it's him. Dun, 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 dun. If I had to sing something, it would be something for us, to encourage us. And I was trying to think of a song for women, you know, besides We Are Family, which a lot of people ask me to do in groups. This song is, it helps me to get into a writing mood when I'm doing a sad song. I see trees of green and red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yeah, I see skies, they are blue, and clouds are white, the bright pleasant days, the dark sacred nights. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. This is when I tell my band to do Latin. Tap, 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 tap. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky. They're also on all the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? But they're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They learn so much more than you I'll ever know. And I think to myself, ooh, what a wonderful world. Yeah, yeah. I think to myself, sing it with me, everybody. What a wonderful world. Oh yes. Women's Book Writers Club. Book writer? I said that right? Writers Club.
Women's Writers Group.
Women's Writers Group of Thailand. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Before we let you go, may I ask you a question? As a performer who usually is in front of live audiences and now COVID has struck,
Yeah.
has that changed your life or has it impacted you at all?
Not to sound narcissistic, but me more so than many singers. I used to, like, 95 times out of 100, you would find Coco at least once during the night going out. You know, like I love to do that. That's part of my shtick, you know. And a lot of singers would stand there, and nothing wrong with that. It was just, I learned cabaret, so cabaret is more in your face. And I was at the Bamboo Bar just 3 days before New Year's Eve, and a customer complained because I went out, and it was my friend. He wanted to sing the song with me, and it's a wireless, and I went out to him, and he was, you know, singing whatever, and we came back. And the next morning, I got a message saying, don't go out in the audience anymore. Even though it wasn't a second lockdown yet, it was just, and then I said, yeah, I'm so sorry. What was I thinking? Because in the Bamboo Bar, it's just this bubble. It felt like everything was safe or whatever. But shortly thereafter, we did New Year's Eve, and then the country shut down. And then I've just been thinking in retrospective, like, you know, I probably need to, so like I'm finding new ways to get the message out. The way they teach us in music theater is, you know, you don't dress and do your hair for the person here. You do your hair and your makeup and your voice and your message for the person all the way in the back there. And so I'm going back to that now. So I started back with concerts, a series where I'd get on stage the first song, and I wouldn't move. And so now I'm finding, hey, this is a nice little, and then especially when I'm doing Sinatra, I can do, oh, the shot, so instead of like going up, oh, the shot, you know, so it's like, I think it might make me more sophisticated, the COVID thing. And hopefully I haven't spread anything, I haven't gotten anything. Oh Lord, that's not wood. Wait, that's wood. Yeah, but that's how it's been. It's been tough. All my savings is gone from COVID, so now I'm sort of singing a lot of places. But it's okay, because for me, just performing is life itself. It's everything.
Well, thank you so much for coming to our little event and for being the brilliant person you are.
You're welcome.
And I would now like to ask our first writer to come to the stage, Mrs. Yassani Taisonti. And you will notice that she is wearing, you know, a little contraption, which is the reason she couldn't join us last week. So we're awfully happy to have her today. So if you would please come to the stage. Okay. Before you start, I would like to ask you, about you as a writer. I know you do so many different things. Like she's publishing, she's a juror in I don't know how many committees. So whenever we talk or whenever we see each other, it's like, okay, what are you reading this time? And who are you reading it for? But I would like to know a little bit more about you as a writer. What brought you to writing?
What more?
What brought you to writing? How did you become a writer?
Of
course, you read a lot, until one day you want to tell something to the people. Of course, you feel bored to say the same thing to your friends or your sister or your brother again and again. One day you want to say more to reach more group or to reach more people. Then you feel like, hey, you have to write something to some kind of like broadcast your voice to the people. So I think writing is the way that you can broadcast yourself. I mean, in the way of express your feelings, your mind, and I think that is the most the thing, because I talk to a person. I cannot talk to myself every day. I cannot talk to my sister the same thing every day, to my dad, to my mom every day. So I like to talk more people, to more people to hear me out. So I think the writer is the right thing for me.
Right. Right. And may I ask about your earrings?
Oh yeah.
They look extremely special. What are they? Can you explain what they are?
Actually, this is the last conch of my story, because my story is about the conch, but they did that one is some kind of like the conch shell, yes. But this one is like Indian conch. Thai people call Indian conch, but I think that is the name, from Turbinella pyrum something. Scientific name, I don't know what it is, but something like that. So this is in my story. It's a conch in my story that the last conch.
Okay. And now that's a nice bridge.
Sure.
May I ask you to read from your story the last
Sure,
conch?
just a little bit. Here.
Thank you.
Okay. Here, this is for you, Lisa. Open it. This is one of the most precious possessions that I own. I'm telling you, it is not easy to come by. Mother said as she cautiously handed me the velvet box like it's worth a fortune. I opened it up gently. Lying inside was not a diamond bracelet, but it's a pure white Turbinella pyrum conch pendant around 2 inches in size. At the rim of the aperture on the columella lip were 3 small ridges visible, known as the Vishnu folds. The outer lip and along the edge of the spire were covered with enamel gold and adorned with small jewels and precious stones, alternating between diamonds, rubies, topaz, sapphires, and emeralds, making it sacred and inviolable in appearance. Mother, it's a conch shell. It's so tiny and adorable. I stare at it with puzzlement. Lisa, this is not simple just a conch. This is a sacred chunk. Don't you see, this is a very rare Indian right-hand Kaksinawa chunk. It occurs only 1 per 1 million shells. That's it. It's going to be too long, but that's it about the special about the conch. Right.
Thank you so much, Kasini. That was very inspiring, and there's so much about that. You should definitely read more when you get the book. Okay, next I would like to welcome my co-leader and this amazing writer, Morgan, on stage. Okay, so Morgan, I know you have written so many stories. You also wear so many hats. You're an educator. You love art, and there's always a journey between many stories unfolding. So let's start with, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll talk more about the story.
Right. First of all, I should say that Morgan isn't my real name. I say that every time in case you want to Google me, and I work at a university as a teacher there. And so, I Googled you at this university. I could not find you. Are you really a university teacher? Yes, but I'm writing under a pen name. Okay, so basically that's 2 separate lives that I'm leading. One is my life at university, the other one, the serious side more or less of me, and the other one, the fun side, happens at writing.
All right, so your title, Guilty Through the Ages. Where does it take us, and where was all this inspiration? How did it actually derive?
Yeah, actually, as crazy as it sounds, this is more or less a real story. I was in Paragon, I was watching Peter Rabbit, of all things, and when I came out of the cinema, I did have suddenly this flashback in a way, this flash of recognition of two people that were sitting in the audience. I know I'd never seen them before, and totally freaked me out. So I made myself, my way to the bathroom, and it's like, what is happening? Because I met a couple more people on the way, and I felt the same way. I looked at them and I thought, oh my God, I know these people, but not in this life. They're from a former life, a different life. And it's not very good for me because I have karma with them, and it's not good. I'm guilty. So many lifetimes that I feel like, oh my God, I screwed up so many times. Willingly, unwillingly, but yeah. So that's how it came, guilty through the ages.
Wow. Could you read some stuff from it?
Yes. Okay, I'm going to start in the middle because last week I started with the beginning and now I would like to share the end when I actually meet all these people. So the first one, if it wasn't for the way they're walking, I'd never have recognized the twins in their Japanese gear, anime gear and makeup. Two arms linked behind their backs, holding hands in front. I used to wonder how it was anatomically possible to be as fast as they were. But it made sense once you knew they were carrying each other's weapons. It made sense once you knew they were carrying each other's weapons rather than their own behind their backs. I tried it once, got hopelessly tangled, and they almost pissed themselves. Doesn't work if you're not a twin, one of them said once they stopped laughing, and had a lifetime of practicing, the other added. They still died singing in the dance of Tsalonga, along with all the children they threw over the cliff, along with every woman who jumped. I step off the escalator and bow as they come towards me. It will be an honor to be taken down by these warriors. The drums slow down to a dull thud, 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 thud. The twins look at me. One raises a quick eyebrow, the other frowns. Then they're past me, step into a big sound studio as if it's no big deal that it was my foreign face that made them jump. Thud, thud, thud. To my left, the fat princess steps into view. Will she be the one? And so it goes, with each and every one of them. Potato nose, pig ears. Impossible not to recognize these scoundrels. The giant still has the same limp. The gambler, the silver dice hanging from his backpack are probably as loaded as they were when I hanged them in the middle of the market square. My brother. I had to. They see me, the one who failed them, could or would not save them, abandoned them, doomed them. Flashes of recognition pass between us and they walk just past as if, you really shouldn't carry all that. I turn around and see a teenage boy with a crooked nose take a heavy-looking bag from his protesting grandmother. Like the twins and like Potato Nose and Pig Ears, they have found each other. You couldn't make me if I didn't want to, the boy tells his grandmother, but looks straight into my eyes as he says it. He said those same words to me right before he went into a bayonet. His decision, not mine, not anyone's, his. Somewhere close by is a renovating, I'm nervous. Someone close by is renovating a shop. The clanging of hammers rivals the racket coming down from Promotion Square, where the vendors tout a dozen different products at the same time. From the bakery, so delicious, the smell of fresh bread and croissants. I straighten up, put one foot before the other, allow myself to forget. the drums stop. Thank you. Yeah, it's easier to moderate than actually to read something out. Yeah.
Thank you, that was lovely. And can we please have on stage for the next one? And who's that going to be? Morgan?
That would be the lovely Neda Pipoto.
Please welcome her on stage.
Yeah, now I'm back in my element.
Here.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so Nina here is a fantastic writer, but she doesn't believe it. So I would like to ask you, what brought you to writing?
Sorry.
What brought you to writing? How did you start as a writer?
Right, when I was 6, actually, when people asked me what I want to do when I grew up, I said I wanted to be a comic book writer.
Comic book writer.
Yeah, I love comic books. And when I got older, then I realized I can't draw. So yeah, but the love of stories of an adventure of the mind never actually leaves me. So yeah, by reading something, it takes me to an adventure somewhere. But this time being a writer, I can create the universe I can travel to. So,
That's right. That's one of the fun things of writing, isn't it? To create a universe and, you know, create the rules by which this universe rules as well.
and to kill off people we hate.
Right. Now, I wonder, in your story, you've got a cat.
Yeah.
Where did the idea for the cat come from?
I guess to say that I love cats is not an enough explanation, but yeah, I love cats, and I'm a big fan of Ghibli studio and all of the things that has cats on it. So whenever I write something, I always feel like, okay, there's something missing. What is it? Oh yeah, the cat. Because I can put some cat over there. Always found of the cats.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you for the questions.
Right. Now I would like to ask you to read a little bit from your story, an adventure into the past. So be careful with Nina, because she always starts on something and you feel perfectly safe and you know what's going on, and just like that, boom, she pulls the rug from under your feet. So let's see what the adventure is today. Nina.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate that. And this is a story from me, an adventure to the west. I will start it right from the middle, not to make it too long. Who are you? Why can't you fly and talk? What are you doing here? I'm your Shinigami, Yama, Thanatos, Grim Reaper, pick one, or all. It's up to you. The cat answers calmly. Cold sweat drips off her body. Terrified, Lilian mumbles, "No, that can't be. No, I'm not ready." She shakes her head and falls onto her bed. The cat invites himself in and sits at the end of her bed. "No one's ready, Buttercup. That's how life and death are. When your time's up, it's up." His eyes search around the room and pick to the kitchen. "Hey, you got anything?" No, it can be. It really can be. My life has finally turned out to the better. You can't take that away from me." Lillian's awe turns into great sadness. Then she starts sobbing. The black cat scoots closer and awkwardly puts his paw on Lillian's head and says, "Hey girlie, look at the bright side. You die happy. I mean, there's a plenty good chance that things will go south, but I pick you up before any of those happens. See? Silver lining." He moves both of his front paws, making a rainbow shape, and grins. Lillian glares at him and reaches out with her hand, then pulls one of his whiskers. "Ow! That's uncalled for." The cat claps both of his front paw and his mouth. "That's totally called for. You have no idea what I eat." She continues sobbing and buries her face in her pillow. "Actually, I pretty much do. I read your blog and everything. You're an open book, you know that, right?" The cat looks at Lillian with a tired expression. She looks at him in disbelief. "Oh yeah, and boy, did you make unwise life decisions multiple times. Good thing that you learned from them though. Look at you now." See? Back to the silver lining thing. He grins again. Lillian pulls her face from the pillow and glares at him and buries her face again. Her sobs gets louder. The cat sighs. Tell you what, I'll let you see the answers of your 3 unanswered questions in the past. Lillian pulls her face again and looks at him in wonder. What do you mean, see? The cat gets down to the floor and walks toward the window, then squeezes his fluffy body out of the window, floating in the warm summer air. Are you coming or not? He asks her impatiently. Lillian walks to the window and looks at him. Wait, you want me to hop on your back? The sassy cat rolls his eye. You got a better idea? Just hop on, you can trust me. Mama! Her body lands on the soft fur of the cat. Without further ado, the flying cat maneuvers himself to the black starry sky. Lillian feels the soft breeze of air on her face, closes her eyes, and inhales deeply. Hey, you never told me your name. Lillian asks the cat. What for? You already know me. Come on, lady, you basically created me. Lillian thinks hard for a moment, then her face lit in excitement. You're Onyx. I read about you in my 11th grade. Then her face falls. Wait, does that mean you're just a figment of my imagination? Can your figment of imagination take you to see your past to show you your unanswered question, let alone flying? Get real. Onyx rolls his eyes again, then continue. I am an entity, and I choose this form for you. You're really lucky I didn't take the green-eyed demon you wrote in your 5th grade. Then he continues. Okay, tell me your first question. Lillian closes her eyes and says, I did something I'm not proud of in 8th grade. I bullied someone. He dropped out of school after. I've always wanted to apologize to him, but he just vanished. I couldn't track him anywhere. I wanted to know if he ever forgives me. You got it. First destination, see Alan in your 8th grade. Onyx adds his speed, making Lillian holds on tighter on his fur. The street lights glimmer brightly alongside an asphalt road, light on the pitch dark night. They keep flying in silence. On the left side of the road, the seemingly only supermarket starts to open. Lillian realizes that they fly through a gradation of time. Night turns into evening, then afternoon, and they fade into a morning. Lillian enjoys a magical travel time when Onyx shouts, Hey Missy, did you hear me? This is the day when the last time you saw him, and we're right above his house, as creepy as it sounds. Oh wow, Lillian opens her mouth in astonishment. I need to tell you one thing though. You might not like the answers you get. I can promise you it'll all be good. But then again, this is how life works. You do things, you get lost, you make mistakes, you learn a lesson, and you move on. Either way, you're still coming with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Nina. That was a very nice birth of a cat. Okay, so for the next person I would like to invite is this amazing writer as well, Minami. Please welcome her on stage. So Minami, before you read that amazing, strong, and emotional story, I would like to ask you a few questions. We know that you've been living here for 20 years, and you love writing, whether it's fiction or non-fiction. So when it came to writing and finding our group and finding our passion and writing in English, tell us a little bit about that, the journey about that.
Oh, okay. When I was a small girl, I wanted to write, and I said I want to be a writer. But then, growing up, you start working, and you do a job for which you get paid, and then you get married, you start families, so you're busy raising up kids, but then after like 20, 30 years, you stop and ask, what am I doing? Is this what I wanted? Am I doing what I want? And then I thought, I wanted to write. But I was very hesitant because I was not sure my work is good enough to share. I was afraid, so we thought, oh, that's a trash. Then, okay, I came and then I share my story, and these group of ladies are very encouraging, and they're great writers, and it's very inspiring. So sometimes I can come, but still this group has a certain place in my heart. It's something that I can just cherish without any worries. So please join.
Thank you so much. That was so sweet of you. I'm so glad that at a certain point, after the journey of your personal life, you thought of reconnecting to writing and realizing that there's no one stopping you. So for now, no one is stopping you to read your story. Please come here. And she's going to read a story called Forgive Me.
I lost my mother like 10 years ago, and that moment is still in my heart, and I don't know what to do with it. So I wrote this poem. Forgive me. As she stood her mother's deathbed, the words came unbidden. I'm so sorry. Sorry for what? I'm sorry for being away from you for such a long time. I'm sorry for not calling you often, for not visiting you often, for taking your love for granted, for not saying thank you enough, for not accepting your aging, for being upset with your being sick, for not treating you as you deserve, for not showing my love, for the time we didn't spend enough laughing. With uncontrollable tears, daughter continued her silent pleading. Please forgive me. Don't leave me here alone. Forgive me for what I have done. Forgive me for what I have not done. Forgive me, forgive me. Mother said nothing. She had no more words. She only looked one last time. It was too late. She was gone. In the flow of remorse, daughter realized she was begging for mother's forgiveness because she wanted to be free from guilty feelings. Her apology was not for mother, but for herself. She was a selfish little girl again. Now she couldn't forgive herself. Years have passed. Daughter still remembers mother's eyes. Eyes of the bedridden mother. She searches them for forgiveness. It is not there. Yet there's no anger or sorrow in them either. What she sees is love. And she's afraid of being selfish again, conveniently interpreting the unredoable past. Still, mother's eyes are calm. Perhaps there was nothing to forgive in the first place. Perhaps mother's eyes said, forgive yourself. She doesn't know. She's learning to live with the not knowing, wondering how long it takes to learn to forgive herself. Thank you.
Minami, that was really, really nice, very emotional, and I hope you feel much better after you have released and written that story.
Yes, it
helps to console me to just to express my feeling in writing. And when writing, I thought I just wanted to share my feeling with others, but it helps me myself.
Thank you very much.
Thank you from me as well, Nina. We're honored that you share your story with us. And now I would like to welcome our second poet of the evening, Miss Tip Shai, which is short, a short version of her longer name, and I'm very happy that I don't have to pronounce her longer name and that you chose to go by the abbreviation. And I think we are in the perfect setting for your poem, because in your savoring times, you sort of combine the flavors of history with the flavors of actual food and meal times. How did you connect those two? How did it come to you?
Well, I love food. Well, Asians, being born Thai, I guess you love food, but I felt like food has more than one dimension. I mean, it's savory, it's beautiful, but it's also connected to other things in our lives. In food, I would love to just make the audience feel the comfort of the food, and then I would like to take them to another place where it was totally different, to another world where maybe it was not comforting anymore, but they were still related. So I felt like that could be some very interesting elements that, you know, you could tell history basically through food.
It's a very interesting angle, and that's what I like about this group. You hear we are totally different from each other. We each tell different stories, and yours is something that I would not have dreamt of, but now that I've read it and you're going to read it to us, I'm like, why didn't I think of that? And that's something basically that happens so often at these writers' meetings when we meet. You read something, you hear something, and you go like, that's amazing. So I would like to ask you to read maybe one or two of your pieces from Savoring Time and share a meal with us.
Okay, definitely. So, Savoring Times has 3 poems inside of this, and today I'm going to be reading the first one, which is Breakfast, Bonnet. Bonnet is basically a Vietnamese breakfast. So you've got a baguette and you've got a kind of like meat on the side. So it was heavily inspired by the French cuisine, because Vietnamese people were basically colonized. I wouldn't want to say that word, but I don't really know what word to say. So they were basically colonized by the French for a long time. And so, bonnet, the breakfast. First, stir in the shallot. Second, place the meat on the sizzling hot pan. Third, season with soy sauce. And last, sprinkle crushed curry leaves on top alongside the lemongrass. And you get bonnet, the heaviness of divinity, the morning task of Vietnam. And that's the touch of Vietnam on my lips, the touch of the long forgotten history of that one Tuesday amidst the scorching sun of Saigon, walking through the place filled with the misplaced, and a small, bony woman in the corner of the park injecting heroin. That's the taste of Vietnam on my bitter, hungry lips, sweet and bitter, straight to the vein. I wonder if she lives to see another day while I have my second coffee. Thank you.
Wow.
That was really nice. Would you like to share some more of Savoring Times, or do you think that's okay?
I could do one if you still have time.
Sure, please go ahead.
a yakisoba. My sister lives in Japan, so this is about her. A soba is not a yakisoba. I told you. You chuckled. Why is it called a yakisoba? It is not the same as soba. I stare into your eyes after nothing. Then we stare at Netflix, eating a yakisoba that is not made with soba seed. And then we play the beautiful story which we live in while my mother is texting me furiously. My sister is packing a suitcase to go home. She never wants to go, bleeding inside of her heart from the blood that she bled 2 days ago. Smoky, sweet is the taste of the yakisoba, and our lives entangled, intertwined. Sweet, sour, burnt. They offer long life in Japan, I told you. Imagine the life that has been lost, the red lump flushed inside of a toilet. Sayonara forever.
Forever.
Thank you. That was really nice. And I'm sure that is heading to the double-headed arrow. So thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Round of applause for Tim for saving time. And now we welcome on stage the artist that loves to explore the light and the dark, Miss Ta. Okay, so Ta, before you read, let's know about your journey and adventure between the light and the dark. And
Yes. Yes.
and how do you think of your story? So first, let's go to the journey of light and dark in your writing journey.
In the writing journey, okay. So, what to say? Light and dark, like, we cannot escape, right? Each and every one of us, we have. Okay, each and every one of us, we have the light part and then the dark part. So I like to explore the line between it. So that is kind of take me to the writing journey. So yeah, you see that.
Do you do the same thing when you're doing artwork?
Artwork, I haven't really explored that part yet. I mean, for the painting part, but in the writing, yes, I do.
Okay, so when you explore that part, you feel free to share with all of us. And now let's move on to your story. So how did you get the inspiration of writing this amazing story?
This one, actually, this is dedicated to my late grandmother. So 1.5 years ago, I had a chance to went back home to Myanmar, my hometown. That was the last time I saw her. And then, yeah, after a while, she passed away. So this is for her.
Okay, thank you. Please read this amazing story from that.
Double-headed arrow. While the heartless tide is heading to one side of the arrow, moving on, the opposite end is leaving things and good or bad memories behind, fading away. The silent words are echoing along the halfway and trapped in the very last chamber of my consciousness. There is a time to be born and a time to die. It takes a breath in and a breath out, as simple as it should be. But the reality of one's life is not as simple as it sounds between those two breaths. The calls were sent to every family member and letting them know that the time to say goodbye to her was getting near. It could be any day, soon at any moment. The time will not have the mercy on her, indeed against everyone's wishes. The last time I left this town with a heavy heart was when I was going for the university in a foreign country. All my friends, my family, My relatives came and said goodbye and wishes me well for my studies, the career, my life journey, and so on. I left everything behind and looked back to town with teary eyes, only holding on to the good memories in my heart as much as I could. This time I had to go back to this place with a very heavy heart again, to say goodbye to the person I loved and respected well. This time, the one who would be leaving was not me. Soon as I reached the house, I ran up to her room. I called her softly. When I reached to her bedside, as I didn't want to disturb her rest, she looked so different, not like the person I knew, who loved to present herself well and look nice at all times. So weak and so thin now, breathing slowly. Aging had an effect on all human beings, I guess. She opened her eyes slowly and said, "Oh, you're back, my dear. I'm so happy to see you. I've been missing you and your family. I thought I couldn't make it yesterday." And that was it. But I'm glad I still have some time left. I got that big lump of heat from my stomach shooting straight up to my throat, and no words were formed. She waited for me as she used to. When I came back home late nights, after the late night sneak out during my summer visits back in the town decades ago, she chose to wait for me to open the door to make sure that I came back safe and sound. That was her way of showing love and care for me. I was her favorite person. I felt that every time, and those were the very profound memories of her to have their permanent prints in my heart. One knows only in one's way showing unconditional love against time, and one will only see and feel it only when one chooses to accept it, especially every moment is precious when the time is running out. "I'm here, Grandma, I'm here, Ernest," I replied shakily. We couldn't have much of the chat that night, as both of our voices were fading away. At the middle of the night, she called out my name loudly, and I woke up disoriented and worried that she was struggling to breathe. I rushed to her bedside as I was sleeping outside her room. Grandma, are you okay?" "Yes, dear, I'm okay. What do you need? What can I get for you?" "What time is it, dear?" "It's still early, 2 a.m., Grandma." "When are you going back?" "In 2 days, Grandma." Silent, and the neighbors cut me out. "Will you come back and visit me again, Grandma?" Grandma asked. I hold her weak and bony hands and reply, "Of course, Grandma, I will. I'll be back again to visit you this time." I made the promise to her to visit her again, although I knew at the time that I would not be able to make it back. I didn't have time to be with her at her final moments. The time was passing by and I was heading back to where the life duties demanded me to be. The next day, she gave me enough energy to sit up and talk to her visitors, her grandchildren, children, and great-grandchildren, and relatives. That day was a memorable last day with her. I remembered her smiles, which were still fresh in my mind and eyes. I left the town with a very heavy heart once again. 1 month passed by, and I got the call that her time finally arrived, and we all mourned for her passing. Lives go on as usual with or without welcoming and parting each other. I looked out the window from my bed. The morning view was so fresh and full of life energy. Birds were singing as usual. I called Kitty, and there she came running up to my bedside. She crawled up next to me where her favorite spot was. She was my favorite cat, among the bunch of rescue cats Tim took in during last summer break before he left for his final school years. I had a hard time breathing last night, and a strange dream. My dear, I'm waiting for you this time. No, not yet, Grandma. I'm waiting for Tim. Tim is coming back soon. I still have something to tell him. A sharp pain in my chest finally woke me up. The voice died down and then I heard Kitty meow outside my room. I smiled. The life stories repeated in so many ways and left behind all sorts of memories. But the time never stops. Sometimes one has to begin writing a new story, hoping to get it right at this time. There is a time for making memories, good or bad. It's a time one story of one's life ends, and time to close the cover of it. Soft voice woke me up again. Grandpa, I'm home. Tim, you're back finally. You're just on time. I paused for a few minutes and said, a while ago I was talking to my grandma. She was waiting for me. It's time, I said. Then the reply was that, you'll be fine, Grandpa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cal. We're going to have to interrupt for just a second because our dear Coco has to leave us. But we do want to say thank you before you leave. Don't squirm. Okay, so thank you again so much for coming. It's always a pleasure to have you, and we hope to see you someday. But I know you're awfully busy, but when you have time on a Tuesday night, you're always welcome to join. We'd love to read more of your poems.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Ladies, rock on. No, I should say right on.
Thank you so much, Coco, and a happy and safe journey.
We'll take a picture of me and my book mentor. The dark liquor man. Thank you. I wanted to see the dances for that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to leave the stage back to Morgan.
Thank you. I see you guys
A
soon.
safe journey, Coco. Thank you so much for coming by.
Safe vacation.
Notes. I don't need notes. It's my fellow in weirdness, I guess. I was really glad when Neda joined us at this group because I like to go a little bit dark and a little bit twisty. And Bhavna here, she's full of light and so bubbly. And there was me like writing about death, killing off people, that kind of thing. And yeah, then Neda came along and I felt like, finally! So, Neda, would you join me on stage, please? Woo! Finally! Okay, so Neda here is somebody whose writing is really, really interesting because she sort of explores where we have the light and the darkness. With Neda, she goes dark. There's a reason the two of us wear black, right? So for this story, I found it interesting. Last Saturday, you sort of apologized to your mom. She was sitting in the audience and she was going like, Mom, it's not, I apologize, this is not about my mom. So where did you get the idea for the characters in your story?
I think that's quite difficult to answer, to be honest, because normally as writers, we don't really get our ideas somewhere specifically. We just steal like personalities around that we see for that specific character. I think because it's kind of a loop, I wanted to show the different parts of a person's personality as a woman, that how we hide who we are, who we really are, and try to show different persona of ourselves. So that actually is kind of showing the dark side of the same person. That's how a person can go so deep just because they cannot express themselves properly. So that is, I think, it can be that, but because I used to do research with the women in my country, so I think I met a lot of women that they had drug issues, and it stayed with me, and in some of the stories I still bring them on. So that's not my mom for sure.
Okay. Now I'm also very curious about the setting that you chose. Somebody's bridal shower. Why the bridal shower?
I think bridal shower is a very girly thing. Like girly girls normally have this type of stuff. I didn't have, I never want to have, and I thought I should put my main character in a very odd situation that she can show herself better. So bridal shower for that specific character that was not really like another typical woman was the best choice for me. Kind of a torturing situation for her.
All right. And we should also state that Neda is channeling someone today. So who are you channeling as you stand there, beautiful, all done up?
The main character
All
somehow?
right.
One of
So
the
the main character of her name is telling her story. Here's to you, Neda.
Thank you. I don't read you the whole story. I read few pages and then the rest you have to read it. I can't believe I am holding the same woman I met months ago in my friend's bridal shower. Today, I hated her. She was a woman that made everyone around uncomfortable just by the way they look. An unpredictable, smug, overdressed bitch. Her style and attitude was like a star in a 1920s movie. She was in a long black velvet dress. I actually ordered a dress like that. They didn't send me. A fox fur around her shoulders and had a big hat covered in white roses. When she entered the party, all women started to mumble, some gasped. No one asked who she was or who invited her. Instead, everyone started to fix their hair, check themselves in the mirror, and retouch the makeup. In my view, she was obsessed with the Scarlett O'Hara in the movie Gone with the Wind. How confident, I thought. She looked at me, smiled with one eyebrow raised. That moment, a burning itch in my stomach began and made my stomach sick. I ran to the toilet to throw up. No one came to ask if I was okay. When I finished, I heard click-clack of her high heels. I jumped up and washed my mouth and with shaky hands tried to fix my hair that was half wet. She entered and closed the door behind. What's going on? Are you alright, darling? Her fake British accent made her more annoying. I didn't look at her and shrugged my shoulders. Let me, she said, and cleaned my mouth with her handkerchief. That's better. She brushed off my hair from my cheek. Thank you, I muttered. She smelled sweet as if she were made of ylang-ylang, like my mother. She brought my chin up. Are you pregnant? Oh, me? No way. That's a strong way to ignore the reality. Are you sure? Are you not sleeping with any men? In that small space, me with typical dress and wet of pure hair, and she with that amazing style, I felt suffocated. Excuse me, I have to go out. She blocked my way. Tell me, are you into men at all? I don't understand that question. I don't even know you. This is awkward and strange. Oh, sweetheart. What is strange about being yourself? She got closer to me. Tell me, darling. Don't be afraid to be who you are over and over again. I can't talk about this stuff with a stranger. Stranger! She exhaled sensually. When you look at yourself in the mirror, will you not see a stranger as well? what is the difference between us when you feel like that about yourself, darling? She tilted her head, and that moment I thought how her beauty is discomforting. I'm not pregnant. Are you satisfied? She put her hand on my stomach. My vision blurred out, and I heard a fast heartbeat. It's a girl, somebody whispered. I stepped back, coughing. I could hardly breathe. Am I making you uncomfortable? I glared at her black eyes. Yes, you do. Leave me alone. Instead of moving, she smiled and leaned against the door. She took one of her gloves out, opened her purse, took an opera-length cigarette holder and slid a cigarette inside, then lit it up and puffed the smoke to my face. Everything about her reminded me of someone, something, some familiar situation. I was angry and scared. She was a déjà vu of a feeling I experienced throughout my life. A feeling that began when my mother started to use drugs. That's the part. The first time was when she forced me to let her boyfriend touch me in places he shouldn't. Sorry to the kids here, I hope you don't understand English. It was the first time I felt the burn in my stomach. I was crying out of despair and she was laughing and calling me, "Wimpy kid, you're a shame in my life." I was 8 by that time. I remember her yellow of cigar teeth were surrounded by her beautiful red lips, her skin as white as the smoke of the cigar. Between her fingers, her laughter. In that agony, I still found her beautiful. All this disappeared by her death of overdosing on heroin. That was when I had my first period. Her last words to me was, "When my man touched you, it gave me power to see you such susceptible. It made me forget myself. It separated me from me. It separated you from me, from the shame of having you, from the unbreakable cycle of repetition." That's all, thank you. Can I go now?
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much, Neda. And really, you do want to read the end of that story. It's going to flow you. I did not see what happened. I did not see it coming. It's not easy to fool me. So now it's my great honor to introduce the my co-leader and partner in crime with the Bangkok Women's Writers Group, Ms. Bhavna Kemlani. Oh my God.
It's okay. Here, we are the MCs in the flow today.
Cut. Do again. Ms. Bhavna Kemlani. Okay. I would like to know, Bhavna, like we sort of took over, 4 years ago, something like that, right? What actually brought you to the group? Could you share that story with us again, please?
In the beginning, when I wanted to write, which was like maybe more than a decade ago, and I was looking for a group where women can write, men can write, or just probably a group that, writers group. It could be like creative writing, fiction writing, and basically sharing a voice. So I went to a conference, and little did I know that when I was finding a group, so I had this thought, if I don't find a group that already exists, I'm going to create one. And there I met Annette. And Annette introduced herself that she's part of the Bangkok Women Writers Group, and bingo, I'm here.
And good thing you are. Now, I would like to know, the title of your story is also the title of our anthology, Rhythm of Missing Pieces. Would you talk a little bit about what that title means to you?
I see that life has its own rhythm, and with every emotion, we have a different rhythm. So that's the inspiration about that. However, I also feel that every person, especially a woman, she's filled with very strong characterization, and her journey when it comes to music, when it comes to dance, and especially when a person is in that journey, and what if one day she looks herself in the mirror and she starts forgetting what happens next.
That's my cue to get off the stage. What happens next?
Okay, so I'm going to start reading my story, and It's called Rhythm of Missing Pieces. I remember now. What do I remember? Audition. I have literally taken that chance to participate in a renowned reality show, Dancing with a New Age. What distracted me were the missing pieces yet to find. Here I was, overwhelmed about what I was finding. Who would know? What are you seeking is seeking you. Before making my way out, my partner told me, Galera, swing dance and salsa at this age will be a great challenge, my love. Don't forget to Zumba their butts off. They cannot do what you can, said Hadrian. He winked and kissed my cheeks. The champagne is waiting for you, so come soon, he cheered. The point was, I was going to the audition all alone physically. Mentally, I had an entourage of relationships that brought me where I was. As much as I wish Hadrian to join me, he was off for some more very important project he calls curating honor. Then, I was still thinking, what am I doing? Great, I remember now. And off I was walking away from the Japanese lanterns, and towards the right side of the lane I see an alley, and there it was dancing in the air. Audition for Dancing with the New Age. Glimpsing through necessary details and waiting in line that is snaking down the registration desk. Are you waiting for a son or a daughter or cheering for someone? Asked one of the participants. Yes. Cheering for myself, here, today. He looked confused and thought I was joking. You sure you can manage this? You'll be dancing with a stranger for that audition, he pointed out. The stranger better be good, I stressed. How old are you? He asked. 93. You? What? I'm 46. I'm worried about you now. Why are you worried, he asked. For no broken bones on the stage? He teased. I ignored him and blurted. I was joking. I'm looking forward to see you on stage, he added. I said nothing. The time has gone where I will be entertaining to people who are judgmental and have verbal diarrhea. It's not my cup of tea. It was better not to focus on how my legs would still extend behind the dancer's body about 90 degrees. In fact, I was looking forward to dance and experience that deep feeling of thrill and cheer. I wondered what type of jazz music would they play. Time to Zumba their butts off. Hello, please. Come here. Register. The young lady gave the form. My fingers were beginning to become numb. I wish Hadrian was here right now. My happiness is my responsibility. My happiness is my responsibility. I reminded myself. Breathe. Breathe. Here, you are now number 39. Your name will be announced and will be given an assigned choreographer whom you'll be dancing with. You will have about 20 minutes to get acquainted and discuss the options of swing dance, or let's say music you'll be performing. Your dance theme will be salsa with swing dance. Okay, for now, you can wait at the participants' lounge. There is coffee, tea, and some snacks sponsored by Juice It Up. Cheers and best of luck. Next, please, said the young lady monotonously. I paced forward towards the participants' lounge and was wondering, did I just get the reverse of my age? Perhaps this means, or might mean, feel like 39, graceful like 39 when I dance, kick butt like 93, the epic foundation of experience and charisma. So many people here, they're anxious too. Their energy is transparent. My palms are sweaty, heartbeat rising, and lips begin twitching. Number 39, please come to room 13, announced a male voice. Thank you. So, for more are, please get the book later. And yes, this is one of my props, inspired by the beautiful Carla and all the young dancers. We will get to them very soon before we wrap it up. So I would like to call all the writers on the stage.
All right. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take you on a roller coaster ride now. We're each going to read just one sentence from each of our stories in the term that we read, and hopefully your head is going to spin at the end of that. Okay, so I get you. Yes. Yes.
My mother is usually the last person that I would tell any of my sub stories to.
So many lifetimes, so many stories.
No one's ready, Buttercup. That's how life and death are.
She's learning to live with not knowing.
I wonder if she lives to see another day.
Soft voice slowly up again.
Do you want to perish in time?
Let's start. Music, please. Announce the judge.
She concluded that we don't get to choose the shank, but the shank chooses you.
Deep breaths. You're not going crazy.
You do things, you get lost, you make mistakes, you learn a lesson, and you move on.
She only looked one last time. It was too late.
And our lives entangle, intertwine, sweet, sour, burnt.
Birds were singing as usual.
The cycle never ends.
He was every woman's Tinder date, Facebook request, OkCupid, Bumble, and Dance Cozy. Thank you everyone for joining us. Lots of love from the Bangkok Women Writers. Thank you everyone.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we do have a couple of thank yous, but first, I think we're going to have a 5-minute break because there's a very, very special performance coming, I hear. Daphne, can you say a little bit more about that?
Yes, we have a special performance, and I will speak more after she starts testing the video, the music and stuff, and then I will give her a grand welcome. Please welcome Carla and the entire team with little kids today we have. All right, thank you. So we have a 5-minute
We're
break.
going to go for a 5-minute break, yes.
No, we'll put it here.
Okay, as you're waiting, I hear the bar is open, the kitchen is open. Please order some food, some drinks, get comfortable. We're going to be here at least 20 hours longer. Maybe want to be prepared.
No, ella se va a sentar para dar palmas. No se quedan las dos atrás.
Sorry, do you need anything from the sauces?
lovely little girls. They're like angels today. Thank you so much for coming here and making this memorable for all of us. So I would like to talk about the Ole Sayam flamenco. And Ole Sayam shares and exchanges the passionate and empowering ways that flamenco inspires. The magical art communicates through dance and music to reveal they do one thing. Did I say correctly?
Duende.
Duende.
Yes.
Okay. The true being that hides in all of us, one spirit. Ole Sayam brings together people of arts and collaborates in cultural performance experience to expand our like-minded community. Ole Sayam Flamenco is proud to have an official associate to the School of Flamenco of Andalusia and the Global Network, founded and directed by the lovely Carla. Please, Carla Sorende Rivera. Okay. All right. So I'll give the stage to you, and thank you very much.
Thank you. I guess I'll do a little intro. Thank you for the invitation, Bafna, and it's very nice to be here with part of our Ole Siam is our academy base, if you will, to expand flamenco and its really unique art form. Duende refers to that spirit inside, and I don't see you right now, but your story really touched me, and I guess I'll take the opportunity to share this here. Someone once complimented me after performance, a man. He said, "Oh, it's so sexy when you dance." And I'm not trying to be sexy. I feel powerful. That's what I find. He said that power was sexy. So I leave you with that thought. And I'm happy today because our little dancers who have been dancing, do you know how long you've been dancing together now? At least I think about 3 years, and this is part of my contribution, trying to create opportunities. Those are things that I say I don't really teach. I'm here to share what I've learned in my path. I don't put expiration dates on my dance classes. I think that flamenco is a very personal journey, unlike any other dance, and I think these young ladies will demonstrate. Today I have also, this is Alexia, by the way, and Julia here, and I am accompanied by 2 other beautiful ladies, Carmen and Victoria Bonis. Yes, they are related. They're a mother and daughter duo who have been a real treasure to be able to share also flamenco and friendship, music, and much more. And today, it's also very special because